What's up, everyone? Another day in the garage, and today I'm going to give you a review on this Harbor Freight lift that I have had for 10 years. Let's check it out. All right, now before we do that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so when I post new videos here from the garage, you know what's up and you can keep in the loop. All right, now some of you may be watching this and questioning, is it going to work for my bike? How well is it built? Is it something that I really need? Is it something that I can really put to use? I'm going to give you all that information from my perspective right here in this video. I'm a garage guy. I live in the garage. I work on all my bikes, my friends' bikes. And so for me, about 10 years ago, it just made sense, buy this thing. And at the time, I'll be honest, it was like a splurge spend for me. You know, times change. Financial status change, and for me at the time it was a splurge spend, and I'm really glad I did it. Let me give you all the reasons why. You guys make the decision on your own when we're all said and done here. I'm going to show you how it's worked for me, my needs right here in my garage for my bikes and my friends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and walk you through what the benefits have been for me on this Harbor Freight bike. I was just about to load the Fat Boy on here. I put the chalk back on it, and I thought this would be a good time to go ahead and record this video while I got it up in the air. I can show you how I load it and how it holds a bike and how it gets strapped down, and give you all the different benefits and maybe disadvantages that I've had working with it over the past 10 years. All right, let's check this out. I'm going to go ahead and just start front to back and kind of just give you a rundown of what it comes with and how I bought it. Now, I want to remind you that this particular lift was bought probably close to 10 years ago. I know that the models that they have now have some different features, maybe with the pedals and different things of that sort. So this one may look a little different than the one either you are looking at or already have or have seen, okay? This is exactly how this came from Harbor Freight. Less the straps, but it has the same bar, the same chalk, it has the same pedals that are here currently, and this is the ramp that came along with it. I have not made any modifications other than drill some extra holes in here for different mounting spots. Here's another one, and here's another one. These are just for different ways that I position the bike on here. Maybe if I'm going to have the front wheel up or if I'm going to have the rear wheel up and where I need to strap it down. Those are the only modifications that I have made to this lift in about 10 years. Everything else is exactly as it is. There are much better chocks that you can go ahead and buy for this. For me and my needs, this works fine, and it actually does the trick. There are some that come in here, and when you hit them, they will come up and lock into a position. Those work great for me and the bikes that I have with the tires and the fenders and the wraparound fenders that some of them have. It just wouldn't work. This one can be upgraded. You can buy anything and bolt it onto this, but it has worked for me for many years. I am going to show you how I load my bike on this thing after we run through it. The chalk itself has held up pretty fine. There's just a pretty simple stop that's right here in the front. Has 2 bolts, and this is what your tire will come up and bump up against. You can mount this and move this in any different type of position. So if you need if the tire is bigger in diameter, you can move it back, whatever it may be. This is really simple and simplistic as far as technology. It's nothing but essentially a C-clamp sort of deal. And this one is stationary while this one moves. This one will come in and out, and this is what your adjustment will be to tighten up against your tire. Obviously, this is beneficial so that if you have a wider tire or a skinnier tire, you can go ahead and adjust this as it is. For me and my needs, I have a 2004 Fat Boy, which has a 16-inch wide tire in the front. I also have a Dyna right here that has a 19-inch in the front, and it's skinnier. I also have my Bagger over here. Again, this helps for me. For the Fat Boy, it does need to have the tendency to be a little bit wider, and then for these, a little bit skinnier. Again, you can buy different chocks for it. This has worked for me the 10 years that I have owned this thing, okay? The stand itself, you can see, this has been 10 years of use on this thing, okay? It's got wear and tear. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, you can actually see the tire mark of where I load it on and off, all the different bikes that have come on and off of it. It is held up pretty well, okay? I mean, for what it is, it's going to get beat up. It's had oil, tools dropped on it. It's got a lot of different use and abuse to it, and it is held up pretty well, okay? This model here actually has a pull out, and I think they all do, okay? I need to use this area here so that I can remove the rear tire. This is very beneficial for me when it is up on the lift. If I'm going to remove the tire, for that to be able to come out, and then the tire can drop down, out, and you can pull the tire out. You will need a scissor jack, something like this, to be able to do that. You know, you put the scissor jack here, hoist it up, pull this out, drop the tire on out, okay? So really nice feature if you want to be able to be mobile with it. That is definitely something that has helped. Example, this bike will go back on it, but this bike was immobile for a while. I had both wheels off of it, but having it up on the lift allowed me to still move it throughout the garage and get it up out of the way, okay? I am in a single car garage. I have 1, 2, 3 bikes that are minimum in here all the time, and I use the lift as storage usually for one of them. Obviously, I'm not riding all of them at one time, and usually I'll have one in rotation to go ahead and put like on the lift, doing maintenance, cleaning, whatever it may be. And so I'll throw one on the lift, and I'll be able to strap it down and move it off to the side so that it can be stored away but still mobile for me. So this is really nice to have in the garage if you're going to want to be able to have a bike, maybe have both wheels off of it. It's just going to be immobile, and you want to be able to move it around. If it's strapped down correctly on this, I've had plenty of success moving it around by myself, and if you have another set of hands, helps even more. All right. The pumps, okay? I have never serviced these pumps, and I probably should. There's a video, I think, on YouTube of how to fill it with oil down in these spots here. There is a front pump, which will allow the lift to go up. Okay, I have counted because I wondered how many pumps does it take. I have counted how many pumps that takes for me to lift the bike all the way to capacity. It's about 50 pumps. It's a good amount of pumps, all right? It doesn't bother me. It's not a huge strain. It just takes an extra 30 seconds for me to be able to have to pump it with my foot. Okay, so just an FYI, and I'm sure, honestly, if I service that thing, I can probably get it to pump way less than that. But once it's up, always, and I always do, make sure you put the bar in place, okay? This one has 2 different positions on it to be able to adjust where you want the working height to stop. This is the highest one here. You put it in here, it'll stay at its most highest point, and it won't be resting on the hydraulic fluid or anything like that. It won't be relying on the pressure from the hydraulic ram to hold itself up. All the weight will kind of just be bearing, and it'll be held by the rod, and it'll just be like a jack at that point, okay? So make sure if you do that, and especially if you're going to leave it up overnight or anything, you leave this locked position. They give you 2. I'd assume if you wanted to do a third, again, I never have, but if they give you 2 here, just make sure it's even. I'm assuming you can probably punch a third hole up on top if you wanted to do it, but these 2, the working heights that they allow me to work at, this is for when I'm full standing up, basically, and I want to see, you know, the middle of the bike. If I want to get the stuff towards the top, I leave it more on the lower setting, okay? And really simple for it to come down. It's going to come down really slow right now because there's no weight on it. But normally when there's weight on it, it's down within about 10 seconds. You know, it comes down pretty quick and steady. So it does move very well. It has these little casters at here that you can either use to level or stationary. To be honest with you, I kind of never use them. Occasionally I'll use them. But I am moving stuff around in this garage so often, whether it's a bike that's on it or not on it, that those never really come down. But they have those casters so you can kind of level it and stabilize it a lot more. It's been a really good lift. If you're going to be in the garage and it's for you and your friends' bikes, it's, to me, more than enough to get the job done and get you off of the ground and not having to sit on the ground or lay on the ground to work on these bikes. That is a huge game changer, to be honest with you, when you can go from sitting or standing next to the bike at eye level and be able to do the work on it. It really changes the game. So advantage to it, again, just because you aren't using it, you can store your bike right on it. Just ride your bike up onto it, secure it, and leave it there. And it's not going to be taking up any more room in the garage than the lift itself will be taking. So if you've thought about, hey, it's going to take up too much room, just my suggestion, store your bike on it, and there you go. It won't take up any more room in the garage than your motorcycle already does. All right. I would say that's about it as far as the features for it. It's very basic, simplistic. The welds, you know, although they don't look the greatest, I've had this for 10 years. You be the judge. I've had my $20,000, $30,000 bagger on it. I've had a lot of different motorcycles on it. This is my most prized. This is my dad's bike who has passed, and I have this on it. I have faith and trust that it's not going to fall or tip over as long as I strap it down correctly. But for 10 years of use and the time that it saved me and not having to lay on the ground and the features of it, I paid, I want to say back in the day with one of those super coupons, $400 maybe out the door, less than that. I want to say maybe even like $300 plus taxes. And for that $300, it has been well worth the investment for me 10 years ago. So I think those are all the features of it. Pretty simplistic lift. There's not a whole lot to it, but it definitely gets the job done. So those are all the features of the lift. Pretty straightforward. If it's done the job for me for 10 plus years, I've had a lot of friends' bikes on it. I've had a lot of my bikes on it. And for the price and what it's done and how it's worked out, it is a lift that I would recommend to somebody. If you're going to just store, your bike takes up a certain amount of footprint in your garage anyway. If you store your bike on the lift, it really takes up that same footprint. So you're really not going to be burning and taking up a lot of space. You're just going to have a nice tool to be able to use when you want to work on your bike and even just clean your bike. To get it up to that level and get underneath it and clean it and just sit and walk around it, it really does change the game to be able to just really get in there and clean it. So I highly recommend one. If you're going to be in the garage, it's really going to come in handy for you. All right. I'm going to show you how to load this thing up. I get a little sketch with it, but it works for me. All right. I'm going to load mine up really quick. And you guys enjoy yours if you have one. If not, go check them out at Harbor Freight. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Just comment in the video below, and I will go ahead and answer those questions. All right. All right. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and hit the notification bell for new videos here from the garage. Later.